I trained under some of the folks that have been there. I've heard stories about what it was like. I feel obligated to play it, convicted to play it.
Well, what's up, gamers? Welcome back to Bono's Gaming. I'm here again with my friend Yugi601. How's it going, Yugi?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Bo?
I'm doing really well. It's good to see your smiling face again. I love our conversations.
Yes, sir.
I think today you have a topic you'd like to talk about, and I have a topic I'd like to talk about. I want to talk about this Xbox price increase and just what that might mean for gaming in general. And then you have a game that's just come out that you would like to bring up too, right?
Yep.
What is it?
That's right.
What's it called?
So it is called 6 Days in Fallujah. This is a game that was announced, I believe, way before 2009. There was rumors about it.
Okay.
It unfortunately got canceled due to how controversial the topic was. But to delve into it briefly, it's a historical battle. It happened in real life. It has to do with a United States Marine Corps on their second battle of Fallujah. This was back in, I believe, 2004. I want to make sure I got the dates right. I've trained. I was a Marine. We say we always are, but let's be honest. I'm not as in shape as I was back then. But I trained under some of the folks that have been there. I've heard stories about what it was like. I feel obligated to play it, convicted to play it. It's a tactical shooter, which it's not for everybody. It's not as arcadey. It's a little more realistic, a little more grounded.
Yeah.
I personally really appreciate that. Tacti Gamer on YouTube, Tacti, I actually spoke to him on Twitter a couple times. Makes great videos. He kind of like talked about it a little bit.
Okay.
And he did something great on the video. I think so. The thing about, I don't know how grim we can go, but the thing that this game delivers that maybe a lot of people who play these games may not appreciate is how exactly intense it is to clear houses. Because that's the main goal. So the main goal of the game is you're landing, you're into the city of Fallujah, you're with multiple people. You have to physically use a radio, actually, which is cool for the communications. Obviously, you can talk on Discord or something, but for immersion purposes, you guys should use the radio. I think that's really cool. But and you have to clear these houses. Now, the AI is dynamic, so they may see you, they may go to a different room, they may flank you, but it's very, very realistic in terms of like damage and what you can take. And like I said, so what I'm getting at is there's an aspect of house clearing that I feel like maybe more people don't appreciate. Not that I'm saying you should or you shouldn't. This is a very dark time, right? Let's be honest. Nobody should glorify war, but that idea of clearing a house and how scary it could be, I've never seen a game capture it like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
Go ahead.
We've seen, I think, those types of scenarios before, but usually you like kick in the door and it goes into slow motion.
Yeah.
And it's very, it's almost too safe. It's like, I know I'm about to bust this door down and show everybody what's up, but that's not how it would be in real life.
No.
So you're saying this is going to be as accurate as a game could portray it.
Like they had like actual Marines who were there. They interviewed them, got their testimonies, and made sure that they were behind the entire development of the game, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
This is what, and again, like people may have their opinions about it, but this is what these games were about. I mean, you remember the old Call of Duties, they were real battles. This is what Medal of Honor was trying to capture.
Right.
Like kind of retell the stories. Battlefield, like the retelling stories of things that really happened. So I think it's cool that we're kind of like getting that again. And, some people may think like of Escape from Tarkov, capturing that realism and like almost horrifying feeling of clearing rooms. But again, like with that, it's mainly like human players. There's AI involved too, but it's something about the chaos of that battle coupled with the idea of it being like kind of supervised by other Marines. It just, it hits close to home. I can't wait to play it. I love it. I love the feeling that it captures. It may not be for everybody, and it's a grim reminder again of how serious these types of things are. At the end of his video, he actually quoted Ecclesiastes
Oh
I
yeah.
think I don't know the exact verse, but you come from dust, and to dust you will be.
Oh
And
yeah.
he just kind of fades to black, and the video just ends. And I'm like, yeah, man, like, and me doing that training, you got to get comfortable with that. You got to be like, look, man, this may be the last day I ever enter.
Man.
And I appreciate, I guess what I'm getting at with my little soapbox here is I just appreciate the realism of it, the attention to detail and the care. And it seems like a lot of respect, because again, like, that used to be what they wanted to do. They kind of wanted to like honor it in a way by being realistic to the stories and just retell them for certain people. So pretty cool, pretty exciting. I hopefully can play it and record it. We'll see if my stuff can come in, but yeah, it's going to be good. I think procedurally generated, so you never know what you're getting, which is really crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there aren't a lot of first-person shooters, if any. I can't think of any that are procedurally generated.
Yeah. So it's co-op.
That's unique.
Like, yeah. So it'll be like me, you, two other people. We've got radios, and our job is to just clear these houses, but they're tight, they're dark, and they're random. Can get pretty intense. It can go out of hand real quick. I mean, if you watch Tacti's video, man, like turn one corner and he's done like that. Screen goes black and he's done. And, I thought it was cool. I was like, wow, like sometimes you got to make sure you're spiritually ready for that type of stuff. And I don't know the mindset of those Marines, but I can't imagine, like when I was talking to them and hearing their testimonies, like of what they've been through, like what they were like, man, it hits home. Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, it's not for everybody. But
I'm glad you brought this up, because I think you have a unique perspective because of your past and your experiences on a game like this that I don't have. I often have looked at games like old school Call of Duties that were based on real events and Battlefield and other stuff that we mentioned already, and thought, man, I just don't know, where is it okay and where does it become immoral to participate in this? Because back in the earlier days of first-person shooters, that it was more about the entertainment. And you're right. I don't think war is something that needs to be glorified. And when you're telling these stories that happen to real people in history,
right?
But it's done in such a way that is just for the entertainment value, and it is numbing people to the atrocities of war.
Right.
Because war is not glorious.
No.
It's evil.
Yeah.
It's sad, it's tragic, but it's anything but glorious. And when you're numbing people to the tragedy of it, that's where I'm like, I don't know if I need to be participating in this. And so I've kind of always taken kind of a hard look at that and been kind of picky about which games I play and which ones I don't. And I've played a lot of first-person shooters. I tend to find myself liking them better when I know that they're not based on real events. When I know that they're like, if they're like futuristic, like Halo. Like Halo, I'm fighting aliens, I'm in space. This is not realistic at all, and I'm okay with that. But then you get to like Call of Duty, and it's World War II, and I had my grandfather fought in World War II. I heard some of his stories, and I don't know, it just feels kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just interested in your take on it, because you were in the Marines. You have trained with these people. You have served in that way. It's interesting to me to hear you say you appreciate the realism.
Yes.
But I get that, because one of the last ones that I played, which I guess is kind of old now, but Battlefield 1, it's World War I, based on World War I. And I thought it did a really great job of respecting the people who fought in World War I, and did a good job of showing just how horrific World War I was. I hesitated to play it. I almost didn't play it. It was one of those games that I had gotten for free. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try a little bit of it just to see what it's like. And if I don't like it, I'll shut it down, delete it, whatever. But I ended up playing the whole thing because it told different people's stories and from their perspective. And I thought, you know what? They actually took the time to make this respectful and to actually try to teach you that, hey, this was a bad time. This was a dark time in human history, not something that we want to go through again. Like it felt like they were telling me those people's testimonies rather than trying to make me entertained, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. And I think that's kind of what you're saying about this game. Am I in the right ballpark here?
Yeah, you are. I think there's a lot of, I think two things can be true at the same time. I think there could be people that can appreciate it, and there can also be people that are not too on board with it. And in fact, I think that's why the original controversy happened.
It was a lot closer, like in 2009. That's a lot closer to the actual events, than now. And I do think that the more time that passes, the more okay people will be with it.
Yeah, and I agree to a huge extent. Actually, I 100%. I don't even think you're wrong for what you're saying. I guess where I find respite is that they made this under the supervision of numerous Marines who wanted this to happen.
I think that's great.
Yes. I think that's where I'm comfortable with it, because
I think if you're gonna do it, that's the way to do it.
Yes, and the thing about Marine culture, like I'll enlighten you on, is that it's very honor driven. Like they don't mess around. Everything is like, there's a lot of respect there.
Yeah.
So if they got the Marine Corps' blessing to do this,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Because the Marine they don't play with their. And have you ever seen a Marine in their camouflage uniform outside of base? You usually don't.
No,
you don't see them outside of base. They take
camouflage. I haven't.
Yeah. Like you'll see them on their dress blues, their presentation. Just by that alone is a big deal. So to sit here and have their blessing of a branch that is super, super like serious about how they look to the public.
Yeah.
I think that's more of a badge of honor, knowing the Marine culture that I know, knowing the people that I've met who are also okay with something like this. Because again, this was talked about for a while. I joined the Marine Corps in 2011. This game was still like being talked about by then. And all the Marines that I've spoken to were like, that sounds awesome. We've never had issues with Marines in any type of video games as long as it was done well. And most of the time, you'd be surprised how many Marines who just got out of combat will go back and relax and play Call of Duty. So it's such a person-to-person relationship.
Yeah.
But I just kind of want you to, not you, but if anyone watching this is hesitant about this game as it comes out, it's really amazing to me that they were able to actually get away with doing this. Because again, the Marine Corps brand is very serious. Like, they don't play with that. So, I think that's a good thing. And that's what I take comfort in. That's what I would tell anybody else watching this. Like, just keep that in mind. Marines take a lot of, I hate using this word because I feel like it's been tainted, but Marines have a lot of pride in who they are. A lot of pride in who they are. So,
yeah. Well, knowing that does make me feel more comfortable. If I were to play it, it makes me feel more comfortable about it, because I think that was part of my issue with, I think Call of Duty 2 was the first Call of Duty I played, and I was really uncomfortable because I was like, did they talk to the people that were actually there? Like, did they ask permission? Like, they're telling these stories, but who do they really get? I don't like the thought of taking someone's tragedy and using it to make a buck. Okay, that's where I get really uncomfortable. Someone who's gone through something tragic and horrific, and then using that to make money off of them, to monetize that tragedy, that makes me feel really icky, and I don't like it. But knowing that there were Marines involved, that there are Marines that are like, this story needs to be told. We want to tell this story. They've given their blessing, so to speak, to make this game. That makes me feel like that the game developers themselves took the time to respect the situation and the stories that played out, and make a game to tell those stories, and to make money so they can make other games. I mean, they are a business, but as long as they're respecting the source material and the people that were involved, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah. I think
to me, that shows character. That shows the developers have the character and the integrity to do it the right way.
there was an appreciation. Like, it wasn't until I went through my I think they call it Motown training. It was house clearing training, when I got a true appreciation for what it is that they do. So that's why I'm more in the camp of like, I want this game to be released. I like that it's difficult. I like that it's intense, because I feel like there's an newfound appreciation personally that I had after I went through that training. Because again, I was an electrician engineer. I wasn't a grunt, but going through that training made me like look back at the history that I was told and just go, wow, what brave men to just fearlessly do something that I'm here shaking it. Obviously, with training, you get used to it, so I understand that. But for lack of a better word, it was almost like I was like baptized. I was like, wow, like my whole brain just did a 360, and I was like, man, like it's a difference between hearing it in a story and playing through it, and a video game can really deliver that. Watching it in a movie just doesn't hit as different as like a hard-hitting video game where you're doing the work. And all you've got is that radio, and you better hope it works. You got to coordinate, like there's friendly fire. Like there's a level of exposure there that I think it would be good for some people to have, but I also wouldn't recommend it to everybody, which is what I've been saying and reiterating this whole time. Like, you know, because like you said, there's a trauma, there's a pain there. Yeah. But for those who can handle it, and there's adults that can play it, I recommend you do. You might have a newfound appreciation for the men and women who do this now, you know?
Well, I think it's also important to remember to, you know, you play this and think about those things. Like think, you know, this is what they went through. Yeah. And kind of reflect on that. Yeah. And rather than just playing it, you know, mindlessly. Yeah. And moving on. But if you can reflect on it and then, you know, let that reflection lead to gratitude for the people who have fought and died for our freedom and for the freedom of others. Yeah. Then I think that can be a good thing.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. That's why I'm like, I gotta play this game, because it's like, man, like, you know, I have so much love for these people. Even though I was one, I don't know. It's kind of weird for me to say, but like, I have such a deep appreciation for those folks that did that. You know? Yeah. Like it's like, man, like the type of man you have to be to do that. You know, in any scenario, it doesn't have to just be this battle, whether you agree with it or disagree with that whole history, not to get into controversy, but the fact that there are men and women who are willing to do this for us. I mean, hey, I can't help but feel appreciative.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you, and I thank you for how you've served our country, and just hear me say thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for hearing me rant about this, because I've been waiting so long for this, and I was like, man, I knew they was going to do it right. I trust my fellow Marines. I knew they were gonna do it the right way, and I'm glad they did. And I love what I'm seeing. So, yeah, if you're a fan of tactical shooters and history, you're a history buff, this could be the game for you. 100%. Yeah, respectfully and with tact, obviously. You know,
obviously, this is not going to be a game for children, right? Oh, this is a very mature rated game, and and a lot of what I do on my channel is talk about games that children should not be exposed to. So, this is one of those games that would be an adult game, a mature game. Yeah, it sounds like it's been done for all of the violence, and I'm assuming there's blood and stuff in the game. For all of that, it sounds like it's been done in a respectful way. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah.
No, there's definitely a good way to do it and a bad way to do it. And I don't, from what I've seen so far, I don't get the impression that they're trying to make it seem cool. They're making it very crystal clear that like, this is serious stuff. Yeah. Same Fortnite. Just not diving around on skateboards and stuff and making it look cool. So,
yeah. Second topic for tonight, and we won't take too long on this one, but Microsoft, I guess, has announced that there's going to be price hikes on the Xbox consoles and on Game Pass. We knew this was coming. They said this late last year that the prices were going to go up, but they've waited until now to do that. It looks like Game Pass is going to be going up a couple of dollars from $14.99 to $16.99 a month. I would say that that's still a pretty incredible value for what you get from Game Pass Ultimate. You get Xbox Live Gold, so you get a couple of free games a month. They're usually not anything spectacular, but there is some value there. And then you also get access to all of the Game Pass library and some of those games you can play over the cloud, which I actually do occasionally. Sometimes if there's a game that I'm not sure I want to make space for on the hard drive and download, I will stream it, a little bit of it, and see if it's something that I'm interested in, and then download it later if I am. So I kind of like the xCloud stuff, integration into that. But $16.99 a month, if you bought three $70 games, because their games are going up to $70 as well, that's $210. So you're still coming out cheaper in a year with Game Pass than you would if you bought three games at full price a year.
Mm-hmm.
But you're getting access to like 400, 500 games in that subscription service. And a lot of them are very good. And all of the Microsoft games are day and date on Game Pass. So you're getting those day one. What do you think? Do you think that Game Pass, is that appealing to you at all in any way, on any level? Do you subscribe to it already? Does the price hike annoy you? Does it make sense to you? What do you think?
Yeah, so Xbox is so good with their, like, I guess the promotion of Game Pass. I always get it with Discord Nitro. I'm a Discord dork. So I'm always getting Game Pass for free. Especially because people are sharing me their codes all the time. I'm always getting it. I think it's great. What you're saying is spot on. How can you even put a value in that? I don't think you can. If you're getting into gaming and you have Game Pass, I mean, you've got everything you need. PlayStation
really ran away with the last generation with the PS4. I mean, they won, hands down. No argument there. And their popularity has held over because of I feel like they did a lot of things right in that generation, and that goodwill toward them has carried over into this generation. And I don't think they've done as well this generation with some of their decision making. But I think if you were a parent and you were looking at getting your child into the next generation of gaming, and you look at that $300 price tag on the Series S, and you see that you can get Game Pass for $16.99 a month, $17 a month, and they can play anything in that library. And then you don't have to take them to a game store. You don't have to do anything. You just give it to them and you go. I think that's probably really appealing to a lot of parents. And honestly, I'm an adult gamer and I like it. Of course, nobody wants the price to go up. It was a better value at $14.99 than it is at $16.99, just by math alone.
Yeah.
But is this like a deal breaker? And I just don't know. I don't know that it is completely. I'm sure there are people who are annoyed, who are angered, but we had to know that this was coming. It happens with every subscription service. Eventually, they begin to raise their prices. They have them as low as they can get them to get people into the service. And then over time, they begin to raise them. The question will be, this started in 2020, and they didn't raise it till 2023. Or are they going to wait 3 years before they raise it again? Or is it going to be like 1 year, and in a year, it's going to go up another $1? I think that's where it's going to get interesting to me to see how much more it goes up over the course of the next 3 years.
Yeah. Like there's so many ways they can go about this, but I think they're going about it the right way because, again, I guess how much is too much? I mean, that's practically a Netflix subscription, right? If I'm getting my math right. I mean, I don't think you can really beat that. Like a lot of people already have a lot of stuff. Like they already got Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Netflix, Hulu, other types of services.
Yeah.
I mean, you take off one, you add Game Pass, and you don't even got to think twice about it. And unfortunately, obviously price hikes are natural, especially with inflation and everything.
Yeah.
But again, Xbox is so good with their promotions that I can't. I still fail to see where it could go wrong outside of them like substantially changing it.
Yeah.
They're doing everything right, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the right things they did was they came out last December, I believe, and said, look, we've had a great run. PlayStation had already raised the price of their console at that point, and of their games way before that. They said, hey, we can't keep doing this. We've done the numbers. We've done the math. We can't keep doing this at these prices. Next year, the prices are going to be going up. And they gave everybody a huge advance notice because it's been like 7 months.
Yeah.
For everyone to be aware, hey, this is coming. So just be ready for it. And I think if they had just shown up in a Twitter drop, said, hey, today everything's going up $2 a month and we're raising the price of the consoles $50, that would have gone over really, really poorly. With everybody. But at least they had the wisdom to announce it a long time ago.
So. Yeah, that was smart play by them. Yeah. I mean, gaming community, we can be a little difficult sometimes. So
yeah,
sometimes you do have to take it slow that way, so you don't get the online backlash that comes with this community, because we could be brutal sometimes. So
yeah, and Xbox really doesn't need any more backlash from the community.
Right.
They do not need any more of that. So I think it'll be fine. I'm sure some people are irritated, but I think it'll be fine in the long run. But here's another thing that's interesting. Last year, PlayStation came out and said, hey, we got to raise the price of our console. They raised it pretty much everywhere except for the United States. And now Xbox is doing the same thing. Now, PlayStation sort of artificially raised the price because they began selling PlayStation 5 with Horizon Forbidden West, I believe, at first. A bundle for $550. So you felt like you were getting a discount on that game. But I think they'd already made their money back on that game. So I don't think they were really hurting by giving you a copy of that game. So they kind of artificially raised the price $50 in a way in order to make a little more money, right? In the United States. So one, it'll be interesting to see if Xbox does something similar, if they pack in a game in a bundle for $50, $60 more than the typical MSRP price of $500. But also, these consoles released in 2020, and so we're now coming up to the 3-year anniversary of these consoles. And typically, at the 3 or 4 year mark of a console generation, you will begin to see some price drops. But instead, we are seeing price hikes. And that, to me, says that we are not going to be seeing pro models of these consoles this generation. Because if we were, that makes the pricing really difficult. Because but last generation, they lowered the price of the base consoles and kept the pro models at about where the base models were before.
Yeah.
So are they going to release pro models $100 more, $200 more? I don't think they're going to do that because I don't think people are going to buy it. It's too much. It's too much for people who are sort of in that console gaming world. Yeah. If you're a PC gamer, maybe spending $750, you don't care. Like, you'll spend that on a graphics card. Some of them will, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a console gamer, that's a big asking price. And so I just don't think they're even going to go there. I think that this is going to be a longer generation than usual because I think it got a really slow start, and I don't think we're going to get pro models. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. It would be opposite of what I've been hearing, because I feel like I keep hearing that eventually they will. But I guess what you're saying is it's not that they won't. I guess like it'll take longer than we expect. Because by now we would have at least got an announcement of it. But now that I'm thinking of it, it's just rumors. So I don't know.
It's all rumors. People want there to be one. But are they going to want there to be a PS5 Pro if they come out and say this is $725? What do you think the backlash for that's going to be?
Yeah, because
you're right. We can't sell the base PS5 for less than $550, they're saying they can't do it. They're saying they're losing too much money. So if you're making a pro model,
right,
it's going to have to be more.
I see what you're saying.
So I think that instead of getting pro models, we're just probably 4 years from now, we're just going to see the next generation come around.
PS6, huh?
PS6. I think it's just going to have to make that jump.
Interesting. I didn't even think of it that way. I like your insight on that.
I think another thing to consider is that part of the reason that the pro models were almost necessary last generation, in my opinion, was that 4K televisions began to really take off into households.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the prices dropped considerably on 4K TV units, and people were really getting into it. So they upgraded their hardware and give us something that could play 4K.
Yeah.
But 8K is not taking off like 4K did, and I don't think it will, because there's diminishing returns at this point. Unless you're looking to buy a 100-inch TV or bigger, 8K doesn't really make a lot of sense, because there's honestly not that much of a difference on like a 65, 70-inch screen between 4K and 8K. So I just don't see the need for a pro model.
Yeah. And plus, isn't there something to do with like the human eye anyway? Seeing 8K, is it even possible? Like, I don't know if that's true or not. I just feel like I heard that from someone. Like, there's only a certain amount that we could process, really.
Yeah, there is something. There's some science there about the refresh rate and how much you really perceive. TVs are just now like really kind of getting into the 120 hertz refresh rate territory. I just don't think that that's going to be like, I don't think people get excited about frame rate. It's not as marketable as 4K versus all that old HD. That doesn't look as good as 4K. Like, it's just, I don't know. I just don't think we're going to see it. And these price hikes, I think, are confirming that for me. I've doubted it the whole time. I've doubted the need for it the whole time. I haven't doubted that they would want to do that so that they could sell you another console sooner than they normally would. But I also think maybe they learned some lessons from that generation in terms of they had to make their games playable on both systems. And I think that just took more manpower and more time and more money too. And they're trying to find ways to cut costs. Because these game budgets are just getting more and more bloated. I think it's all there. All the evidence is there that I need anyway to say we're not getting pro models. It's just not going to happen. They're going to go straight to Xbox Z series. It'll be called something stupid. stupid like that. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And the PS6, yeah.
And how long do you think it may last before they announce such a thing? What do you think?
I do think it will be a long generation. I don't know how much further past 7 years you can stretch things before it looks old and is tired. And you've reached, it's not just that, it's that you reached kind of this market cap of you don't have any more people to sell to who are interested in your product. So you got to come out with something new, to get people to buy in again. But I fully imagine it'll be 7 years. It'll be 2027, I'm sure, at least, before we see anything new. That's what I think anyway.
Okay. So you definitely, because the thing is, I'm glad you're mentioning this, because I was reluctant to buy the base PS5, anticipating a PS5 Pro.
I mean, I can be wrong, obviously.
Right, obviously.
But I think I make a pretty compelling argument.
I think you do. You had my ears. I was like, huh, you know what? I didn't even think of it that way.
And I think you gotta think about, they're a business and they're in the business of making money. They had a extremely slow start. I mean, people couldn't get their hands on these things. They couldn't produce enough of them, for starters, to have them on store shelves. And then the whole bots situation, buying them up, and then in the pandemic was a part of all of that. And honestly, even the games, we're just now 3 years in seeing exclusive games to this generation. Yeah. That is unprecedented.
Yeah.
That has never happened in any other generation.
You're right.
And so
that's a very good point.
They've got games that they've been developing for the last 3 years slowly because of circumstances that they need to make their money back on. And so I think that just pushes the timetable back on any kind of successor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, I didn't even think of it that way. Like, I guess it's not completely pointless to do it. I don't know if the environment or culture has changed to where even if they did drop a PS5 Pro, if we'd even have the same situation where we had last time, where it was just with the demand plus scalpers, if it would have the same situation anyway, and if it does, that would suck. And I think it would really sour the taste in my mouth for it.
Yeah.
And now that like it's easy to actually get it, I'm down to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting take to look at it, because I didn't think to factor in that the pros were for 4K. I completely forgot about that. You know,
Yeah.
I was too focused on the performance than I was on anything else.
Yeah, it was like 4K 60. Like you can play in 4K 60 now. Like that was a big deal because before it was 1080 30, and a lot of games were only 30 frames. It was almost a generational leap, right? They just didn't. It could have been. They just didn't market it that way. But I just don't think we're going to see it this time around because I don't think there's a need for it.
Yeah,
and I think they're still trying to make their money back on this one.
Yeah, like why invest in a new console or a new version of a console when you're still kind of bleeding money? Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're just digging yourself more of a hole.
Yeah, and honestly, with the games, they haven't even reached these consoles' full potential yet. I mean, they're just now scratching the surface. Really?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, no offense to Spider-Man 2, but it's definitely not peak PS5. I know we could see better.
Yeah.
Like to me, peak PS4 Pro was like Death Stranding.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that. You see that game now. It has unbelievable graphics. So
yeah, and
that was obviously very much later in the PS4 cycle. So yeah,
right. Yeah,
it's very good take there. Solid. Bo knows gaming. He knows his gaming. That's good.
Hey, I'm at least thinking about it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I needed to hear that because again, like I've been so reluctant, but the math is mathing in my head. The more you talk, I'm like, you know what? That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah,
there's my hot take for today. Hey, I appreciate you being on here with me again, man. I love talking games with you. You guys need to go check out Yugi601 on YouTube and wherever else he is on TikToks and Instagrams and all.
Yup, I'm everywhere. You'll see my icon on this picture. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, you got anything you're working on that you want to tell them about?
Well, like I said, once we're upgrading our rig, we're going to be doing a lot more content, so look forward to that on the channel. And then please follow me on Twitter where I'm always running my trap. You can reach me there directly. Let me know that you came from Bo. That would really make my day.
Yeah.
Let me know. If you watch this video and you head on over, you got to say Bo sent you. That'd be great. And then I can text them like a maniac and be like, this is awesome.
Yes. So absolutely. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us. Please subscribe to Yugi and myself if you haven't already. And stay kind and encouraging out there. We'll catch you on the flippity flip.